Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the betting show for UFC 270, a massive card, 2 title fights. We are going to be breaking down Francis Ngannou versus Ciryl. Gane have a really great angle, a lot of information here that I'm going to be breaking down and going over with you guys today. It is going to be a client play, giving it out for free this weekend, as well as we're going to talk about a prop bet, as well as fade of the card, and I'm bringing that back here. There's one spot that I would like to quickly talk about at the end of the show, so we will be going over all of that, but let me tell you something. Last weekend was a bloodbath for me. It was not a good showing. Very unhappy about how some of these fights kind of unfolded and kind of how they went. And my top play was a 4% play on Bontarine. Thought he did enough at plus 145. Thought it was a great spot for him, and thought he did enough. Judges went against us, but like even in football, if you lose by a last-second field goal or you get blown out, it still doesn't matter. You still lose the ticket. So what are we going to do there? Judges have not been kind to us, but we got to keep going. We got to attack this card. Excited to break it down for you guys here today. So what we're going to first talk about here is Francis Ngannou versus Ciryl Gane. I am very excited about this fight here. This is one of those fights where, you know, heavyweight fights always gotta have that little extra to it, a little oomph to it. This one's got a lot of layers with Gane, you know, past sparring partners and you know, coaching and all these shifting things going around, and the interim belt being on top of all that. So a lot of layers to this fight, as well as you've got Ngannou against the UFC. So there is just a lot going on, but exciting to talk about it here. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna talk about both fighters. Last 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So we've got currently, you've got money coming in on Gane. Right now he's a minus 150 favorite, with the comeback on Ngannou is plus 130. So we're going to first talk about the champion here. Now, when you go back 3 fights ago, he fought Junior Dos Santos. Now, this is a great fight. Really kind of showed where Ngannou starts to now really steamroll even further into these bigger names. And this was also a spot here where I gotta say Dos Santos looked like he didn't want to be even in the cage anywhere near Francis Ngannou in this fight. He looked very timid early, and he does a lot of things where you did see even someone like Overeem do as well, where he kind of turtles up, and when there's pressure, he kind of turtles up against the fence or kind of runs away or has his back to his opponent. Kind of what happened here, and obviously there's going to be pretty quick things to talk about on the Ngannou side here. And he goes out there, and early he did throw calf kicks, and I thought that is something that I didn't realize that he actually did it with Stipe, and he's really starting to, I think that's just a great piece to add to his arsenal, where you've got somebody who can start to really chip away at the legs, and then it opens up the shots. He threw some hard calf kicks to Junior Dos Santos early. He ends up kind of, you know, somehow spinning, got his back to Ngannou. Ngannou throws bombs, drops him, ends the fight in the first round, minute and 11 seconds. In the first round, he goes out there and gets the victory. 2 fights ago, he fought Jourdain Rosenstruck. This is another one of those fights here where not much to break down, but this was a fight that Rosenstruck actually was asking for and was calling for Ngannou and was saying, hey, you know, everyone's scared to fight him. I want to fight him. So it added a little bit layer on that side of things, but that I think also just boiled Ngannou to get to that next level where he wanted to just run through him. He sure did. It took 20 seconds. He pushed forward, you know, dropped him, and then the flurry that he lands when Rosenstruck is out, or at least down, is just brutal. I mean, he throws 3 or 4 really hard shots to his head, jumps in, fight over. So there you have it there. And then we've got, most recently, is pretty much the biggest fight that he's had, is Ngannou versus Stipe Part 2. And we all know what happened in the first one where, you know, Ngannou with the cardio issue, I'm going to touch on the cardio issue a little bit later, but he had the cardio issue. He had, you know, it wasn't just able to really, you know, defend those takedowns. And Stipe did what he needed to do to survive and get the win. Here, it was just a different animal. I think this really shows, at least on my side, where Ngannou is going, how he's consistently getting better. His striking, we know, is a little bit wild, but I think it's more unorthodox than it is as wild. His hand speed is there too, backed by the power. And I think that's a part where he really throws these punches from different angles and kind of like a hook uppercut, kind of, I mean, just the way he throws them and how he fires them, and all of them have power. really starts to, set a different kind of pace and a different kind of fear into some of these heavyweights. But we go into this fight here, and you've got Stipe part 2. And again, this was a spot here where Ngannou opened with calf kicks. I think that is going to really help him. Again, that's a different spot. If you start worrying about the leg kicks, then you can start opening up some shots to the head. But really here was the whole fight is pretty much Ngannou was walking him down. Ngannou kept the pressure, kept walking him down, but there were spots there, and I think this shows again the growth of Ngannou, is that there were spots there where he hurt Stipe, or maybe he, clipped him, or wherever it may be, and he didn't just unload. He didn't just, throw, the kitchen sink at him and then ends up not putting away and blows his gas tank. He's now starting to realize, I don't need to go 100 miles an hour early. I can start to go a little bit, and find those opportunities to use that explosiveness that he has. And when he stuffed the takedown from Stipe early, I think that really set the tone also, where Stipe couldn't get the first one, and then even Ngannou was sharp enough to kind of work to his back, which again threw Stipe off, another wrinkle in his game, and ended up getting the back, landing some nice shots. Getting into that second round, again, it looked like Stipe really didn't want to even be in there. I mean, seriously, a guy of his caliber, he looked defeated after he really got that takedown stuff. And he goes in the second round. He looked like he felt like he kind of hurt Ngannou, or at least landed. But then there, Ngannou drops him. He gets back up, drops him again, lands the big, that hammer shot was just a death shot. Ends up landing it to his chin. Fight over. Ngannou is the champion. So there you have it there. That was a second round knockout for Francis Ngannou. Now, other side, we've got Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane 3 fights ago fought Jourdain Rosenstruck. Now, this just shows the difference in strategies or fighting for both how these guys attack the same person. And Gane in this spot just stayed at distance, worked at distance. He was, and again, that's his game. He great kickboxer, light on his feet, able to move around, still has power, but still is able to just move around very lightly. Great kicking game, a fantastic arsenal. But Rosenstruck really didn't throw in the fight. He really didn't do jack shit when you're talking about this fight from 5-round perspective, and his corner is yelling, throw. You gotta be active. Throw. And even second round, third round, fourth, he wasn't doing a thing. Gane, and again, it could be credit to Gane, where Gane was maybe landing some nice shots and just kind of the movement was throwing him off. But you gotta throw. There's a point you gotta just throw. So Gane ends up getting the decision victory there. There were spots where he could have maybe pressed a little bit, or could have maybe, looked to seek the kill. Didn't do it, but played it to the safer route. Ended up winning a clean and easy victory over Rosenstruck via decision. Then 2 fights ago, he fought Alexander Volkov. This is another great stylistic matchup for him again. A nice spot where you got a guy who's also a kickboxer, who's not going to look to take you down. And he did well again. And Volkov is, a little bit more slow plotting, doesn't have much movement to him, but he ended up trying to, the controlling part was really the distance management that Gane has. He really was able to utilize the front kick, utilize his cage movement to just kind of keep the distance enough where the slower Volkov could not land, could not find the big shots, but he really played well there. I thought he had a good strategy kind of going into that fight, but he goes out there, he gets the decision victory over Alexander Volkov. And then most recently, he fought Derek Lewis. Another spot here, we've got a big power puncher who's a little bit slower, when it comes to footwork. But in this spot, really, this is another place where nobody threw. You had Derek Lewis, who is known to kind of go balls to the wall and just kind of throw a big shot. Just couldn't really do anything. There was no real movement from him anywhere in that fight. We're talking about just offensive attacks. He was at home. They talked a lot about that afterwards, that he felt he had a lot of pressure fighting home, which is a whole other conversation I'm not getting into. But he just was not throwing. And Gane again worked from the outside, landed some nice shots, and then it almost looked like Lewis was tired or kind of just out of it. But Gane landing big body shots ended up putting him away. I believe that was a third round TKO for Gane there. So with that all being said, I think the first thing that we got to talk about when we're looking at this is cardio. Now, people are all, we're all looking at this as, hey, cardio, if Gane can take him to the third and the fourth and the fifth, yes, I think there's an advantage there. I think if it's going that deep into the fight, there's a good chance that Gane is just outlanding him. I don't think it's that Ngannou is getting tired. Everyone's going to be tired in these later rounds. But, you know, when you're looking at a 5-round fight here, you know, Ngannou, and he was definitely not as in good shape as he is now. Where, I mean, he's always a monster, but he's definitely kind of, you know, thinned out some of that big bulk that he had. And you've seen he's gotten better. You've seen even the takedown defense. And that was a 5-round wrestling match. And I don't see in this where that's going to be. I mean, for Gane, the most part, he's kind of comfortable on the outside, and he's not going to be going in there. He's not going to be looking to land the big shots and sit there and exchange with Ngannou and take Ngannou down. And I don't see any of that happening, where that's going to at least kind of keep the gas tank of Ngannou intact going into the 3rd round and maybe even the 4th round. I don't see that that's going to be an issue there. I think that if you're looking also at that, he's been more measured. He's not like dumping out the cardio and just going balls to the wall in that 1st round. He's finding these 1st round finishes, but he's been patient. Even with Stipe, he was patient. He was still landing, and he still won the 1st round and was very patient until he found the big bomb. And then the also part is there's no worries of takedowns for Ngannou. There's zero worry of takedown for him. If anything, Ngannou may be looking to implement that into his game plan and throw off Gane a little bit. We're looking for some takedowns. Now, I don't know. Now, could that be an issue? We're talking about cardio. If he's comfortable enough and he starts level changing just to give him a little bit of a different look, I think that's going to help him there. But I think the big part that this ties into is the types of fights that Gane has faced. Fighters that he's faced is to me something that is different compared to this fight. Now, everyone's talking about, hey, the only way Gane's going to win, or the only way Ngannou's going to win is if, you know, he lands a big shot in the 1st round. But I think that there's, again, cardio, I think, pushes this a little bit further, but the types of guys that Gane has faced are guys that are okay with just distance, who are okay working in the complete areas and spots where Gane is comfortable. I mean, you've got Jourdain Rosenstruck, who didn't throw a damn thing, hardly at him, and then he ended up just beating him just on pure volume. Even before that, it was Tanner Boser. Tanner Boser is tiny to be in this division, where and Gane just kind of outworked him from the outside. Volkov, same kind of thing, a kickboxer. There's basically what Gane comes from. It's a kickboxing. It was just a kickboxing fight between Volkov and Gane, and Gane definitely has those skills. Volkov's a little bit slower, and then you've got Lewis, who is just that's a one-bomb guy. He has really nothing else. There's not much going on. He's very slow. All of these guys, to me, are very slow, who are going to give at least a spot of distance for Gane throughout the fight. I mean, all 3 of those guys, and even prior guys, pretty much did that. To me, I think a big part here is that Ngannou's not going to do that. He is not going to stay at range, stay at kickboxing range. He's going to take his shots and look to explode forward. None of the guys that Gane has fought, are capable of doing that, are capable of really pushing that forward with the type of scary power that Ngannou has behind him. And I think cutting the distance is going to help him. And the fact that Gane has always been in that comfort zone of the kickboxing zone, guys are not looking to cut distance. And again, that's probably credit to Gane, because he is quick. He's so light-footed. But I think that's something that, again, you can smother. And that's where, and we almost pretty much saw it kind of in last weekend's fight, where you've got Giga versus Cater, and if at distance, Giga has that kickboxing, but Cater went in, smothered it, did not allow him to kind of sit into his position, never allowed him to get comfortable, cut that distance, and that's what really helped him push his path to victory for him there. And I think that is exactly what Ngannou is going to do. He's going to cut the distance. He's going to look for the big shots. And again, Gane, I don't think puts away Ngannou. I don't think Ciryl is going to do that. I think if anything, he's going to stay at distance, and he's going to have to exchange with Ngannou in the pocket at certain spots, and that's where Ngannou is going to find success. I think he's going to hurt him, of course, early, but I still think he finds that finish or works even the takedowns. Now, you've got Ngannou. I think the knockout was plus 145. I'm going on Ngannou plus 130, straight bet. There's not enough kind of juice in there for me to really kind of, say, hey, it's worth taking the just that one path. I think that's most likely going to be his path to victory, is going to be the knockout, but if it's not, he may take him down. We've seen him go for submission, so it could be a different game plan here. So I'm comfortable at plus 130. I thought we'd never see Ngannou at a plus number again. Here we are. We have him at this, so I am taking him, and that is going to be a client play for me right there. And then the next one we're going to talk about, and I'm going to give these two very quickly out, is a prop bet here. Is Ilia Topuria versus Jourdain. Ilia is minus 590, roughly around there. You've got Jourdain coming back at plus 410. Crazy numbers there. And first off here, I'm not betting a side here in this, but this line's crazy to me. This line is way wide. I am really, as we all are, high on Ilia. Guy's got just massive potential. But Jourdain is a scrappy kind of guy here. So to me here, he should be a favorite, but I think the line's a little bit too wide. But besides for that here, this is a spot here where we're looking at a prop here, is really on the total. And you're looking at the total here. You've got the total at 1.5 at minus 135. 1.5 to me here, I think this pushes me to the over here. I think the price is good here as well, because you're looking at here, Jourdain to me, he's actually pretty well-rounded. He's got skills, he's very capable, he can put out a good volume, just went out there and he just, beat the shit out of André, went out there and, did a great number on him there. And, this is a short notice, so I think that's also spreading it, where people say, oh, it's a short notice. He fought in December. He fought Ewell. He did great. He had a fantastic win. It's not like he's coming off and he just had this absolute war, or he's been on the couch for 8 months. He's in fighting shape. I think this could help him at least go in there and make it at least competitive within those first few rounds. And again, he's in shape. We've got Ilia, the guy is undefeated. He's for good reason. He's looked great knocking out some of these guys. He's 3-0 in the UFC, 2 finishes within the UFC, 2 first-round finishes. Again, for me here in this spot, I just really think that the over is a nice sprinkle here to play as a prop. If you're looking at it, the awkwardness style of Jourdain, I like. I think that he can kind of, he's got a good kicking game, he's got good weapons, he's active. I think that if it doesn't get that first round knockout by Ilia, if he does not get that, I think this fight could be a little bit more competitive into that second and third round. I still think Ilia goes out there, gets the victory some form or way. I think it's either just later or by decision. I think 1.5 is a good number for me here. So for, again, I think he weathers the storm. So for me here, I am taking over 1.5 rounds at minus 135. And then to close the show, just to be done with it, I gotta tell you, the fate of the card here. Now, the fate of the card here is Rodolfo Vieira. Now, listen, I know this guy has got massive potential. I just don't want him in any one of my parlays at all. Now, you've got it right now. He's minus 260 roughly around. You've got Wellington Turman, who's plus 198. Now, this cardio of Rodolfo scares the living shit out of me. I don't want to have any shares of Rodolfo at all due to that. His grappling credentials are there. He's a fantastic grappler. But I think that, Wellington can make it scrappy, make it dirty. He's well-rounded. He can keep it, if he can keep it on, standing for at least somewhat of a part of the fight, it's going to be much more closer than this line indicates. You can go out there and you get of course, the submission victory. Vieira is that talented. But I just think he does enough to kind of, make this a little bit more competitive. It's just not worth it. For me, again, I'm not even betting Wellington. I'm staying away from this fight completely. But again, if you're putting me in your parlays, just maybe tread lightly. So that's the show for today. I'm excited. We are back this Saturday, UFC 270. If you want to check out my client plays, link down in the description. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.